Some jolting news off the field on Monday. Redskins safety Sean Taylor in critical condition after he was shot in his Florida home early Monday morning. Police officers were dispatched to Taylor's Miami area home at 1:45 a.m. and Taylor was later airlifted to a local hospital.
With Fox affiliate WSVN out of Miami is live on scene. Rosh, are investigators without question making a connection between the break-in 8 days ago and this shooting?
Well, they're looking into forced entry here. They do say there was forced entry into Sean Taylor's home, and they are wondering at this point whether that forced entry was a result of the November 17th break-in or the incident that occurred here on Monday morning. But we're also getting new information from police, a critical moment here. After the intruder comes into the room and shoots, we know that Sean Taylor's girlfriend picked up the phone, but the phone line was dead, and there is speculation from Taylor's attorney that those phone lines were actually cut. So critical moments were lost here. Finally, fire rescue gets here. They transport Taylor to the Rider Trauma Center here in Miami. Finally, fire rescue gets here. They transport Taylor to the Rider Trauma Center here in Miami.
Finally, fire rescue gets here. They transport Taylor to the Rider Trauma Center here in Miami.
And Taylor was later airlifted to a local hospital.
Finally, fire rescue gets here. They transport Taylor to the Rider Trauma Center here in Miami.
While in Miami, news broke that Taylor was involved in an assault concerning 2 ATVs that were stolen from him.
Some guys from the neighborhood took his ATVs. He knew who they were. People from the neighborhood were calling him saying, these guys have your ATVs and they're riding up and down the streets. And he called the police. That was the first thing he did. So after 2 or 3 days of getting phone calls of these kids out here doing pop willies and clowning, he made a decision to go get his ATVs.
Taylor was accused of waving a gun.
He was home with his girlfriend, Jackie Garcia, and their 18-month-old daughter. They heard noise in the living room, were awakened, got up. Sean locked the bedroom door, went under his bed for a small machete.
Taylor was accused of waving a gun.
Went under his bed for a small machete that he keeps under there. By the time he got to the bedroom door, it was burst open, and 2 shots were fired. One hit him in the upper leg, and one hit the wall. He was bleeding profusely from the leg. Apparently his femoral artery was hit, and he was bleeding out.
I went inside the room. He was laying there. They had some machines hooked up. I was holding his hand. I was talking to him. You know, just say, hey, it's going to be okay. You got to fight. I say, regardless of what, you understand? It's going to be a struggle. You have to fight. You know, you remember hard work. You know, you got to push through this.
After a day-long stream of grave news, a glimmer of hope came Monday night from the bedside vigil for Sean Taylor.
And then it was an emotional roller coaster. Late last night, Pedro Taylor, who happens to be a police chief in Florida City, came out and said, you know what, my son is responding to doctors. Everybody here was so hopeful, but as day breaks, hope turns into despair.
The doctor asked him to move his eyes, he responded, and he also asked him to squeeze his hands, and he responded.
Although, you know, there were reports saying that, you know, he was doing better, it didn't look good at all.
And then it was an emotional roller coaster. Late last night, Pedro Taylor, who happens to be a police chief in Florida City, came out and said, you know what, my son is responding to doctors. The
doctor asked him to move his eyes, he responded, and he also asked him to squeeze his hands, and he responded.
Although, you know, there were reports saying that, you know, he was doing better, it didn't look good at all. They were giving him a blood transfusion, and around the bed they had like sheets, and as the blood, you know, they put it in, it was just coming out.
There's the doctor, Pete, and I. He said if the bullet would have went in 1/8 of an inch, up, down, left, or right, it would be no more in the flesh wound. And then he said Sean was dead when he got here. Sean was dead when he got here.
Sean was dead when he got here.
I went inside the room, he was laying there. They had some machines hooked up. I was holding his hand, I was talking to him. And I was just saying, hey, it's gonna be okay, you gotta fight. I say, regardless of what, you understand, it's gonna be a struggle, you have to fight, you remember hard work, you gotta push through this.
After a day-long stream of grave news, a glimmer of hope came Monday night from the bedside vigil for Sean Taylor.
The doctor asked him to move his eyes, he responded, and he also asked him to squeeze his hands, and he responded.
And he said that he never seen a man fight for his life as hard as he did.
What should Sean Taylor's legacy look like? In life, he never gave the outside world a full picture of the man he was. Is it even possible to capture his memory?
One day I was at the Dade County Youth Fair down in Miami, and this little kid walked by. Me and my friend both, we looked and like a mouse dropped. It was Sean. It was Sean.
It was Sean.
Who comes 10 feet behind him? Pedro. Oh yeah, that's Sean's brother. It was Sean. It was Sean.
It was Sean.
And NFL star Sean Taylor was back in court today. And NFL star Sean Taylor was back in court today.
And NFL star Sean Taylor was back in court today.
Asking a judge to reduce his sentence. Eric Rivera was 17 when he shot Taylor in his Palmetto Bay home 11 years ago. He was sentenced to 57 years for a second-degree murder conviction. At a new sentencing hearing today, Rivera called the crime a mistake and an accident and told the judge he deserves a second chance. Rivera shot Taylor when the Washington Redskins star rushed him with a machete he kept in his room for protection. Taylor's girlfriend and young daughter were also home at the time. The judge denied Rivera's request, upholding his sentence.
Life is but a dream. But what is a dream? The definition of a dream is a series of thoughts, images, and sensations occurring in a person's mind during sleep. But even when a person is in sleep, these same things described occur. Just because the eyes are wide open does not mean that you aren't in a dream state sleepwalking. The entire world around you is just a figment of your imagination. Your entire existence is a fairy tale, and you live in a fairyland with made-up characters. Thus why they call it the American dream. Scripted stories and events built on lies manufactured by the elites. They say that the world is a stage, and it seems as though that we are witnessing the greatest show on earth. All of the television shows and movies that we have fallen in love with are continuations and riddles to past television shows and movies that aired many years ago. These stories are also used to reveal what's next to come in this demonic society. When doing a thorough investigation, characters who play these roles' personal lives seem to be identical to the main character that they are portraying, or identical to one of the co-stars. The viewer never takes the time to investigate.
His name is Merlin Santana. He's only 26 years old, but already famous for TV roles as the lovable Stanley on The Cosby Show, and more recently as the heartthrob Romeo on The Steve Harvey Show.
Duck!
Merlin Santana died on this street in the wee hours of Saturday morning, November 9th, 2002. He was shot in the back of the head. He was shot in the back of the head.
He was shot in the back of the head.
famous for TV roles as the lovable Stanley on The Cosby Show. Famous for TV roles as the lovable Stanley on The Cosby Show.
Famous for TV roles as the lovable Stanley on The Cosby Show.
He was shot in the back of the head. He was shot in the back of the head.
He was shot in the back of the head.
Still, the great mystery is why. What possible reason could these men have had to kill an all-around good guy like Merlin Santana? The answer, when it emerged, would stun authorities. The catalyst for the ambush was an astonishing lie, concocted by Monique King.
What really started all of this was Miss King's false accusation that Brandon Adams and Merlin Santana had tried to rape her.
Merlin Santana is forever in the hearts of his family and friends. Shortly before his death, he made a chilling pronouncement.
He told his dad he was going to be our guardian angel, and his father got upset, and he told him, I don't want you to joke like that. That's not a joke. And he said, yeah, for real, I'm going to be your guardian angel. I guess he had a feeling or something.
I'm out of here. Till next time, enjoy, y'all.
Take the TV sitcom Martin, for instance. The TV show was based around comedian Martin Lawrence, a Detroit radio show host that starred alongside his two best friends Tommy and Cole, along with his love interest Tisha Campbell and her best friend Pam, as we dig deeper and study this show. The show gives you a glimpse of the dark, sick, twisted world that we live in. The character Tommy keeps his original name Tommy, which is short for his real name Thomas, to signify how he is still in character on and off set. In Tommy's personal life, his wife's name was Gina, which is the name of Martin's girlfriend. In one episode of Martin and friends become overly concerned after they received news that Tommy had been in a life-threatening accident. In that same episode, as they rush to the hospital to search for Tommy, Martin and the rest of the cast members come to the conclusion that Tommy is dead, as they gathered around the hospital bed to say their final goodbyes.
Lawrence is speaking out on the loss of his friend, actor Tommy Ford. Ford played Lawrence's best friend, Tommy Strawn, on all 5 seasons of The Martin Show on Fox in the 1990s. Ford died yesterday at a Metro Atlanta hospital. According to a family spokesperson, doctors placed Ford on life support after he was rushed to the hospital.
The film House Party was the introduction of Martin Lawrence and Tisha Campbell to prep the viewers and set the stage for the transition into the TV show Martin. House Party was a show based around the hip-hop group Kid and Play. In the film, Martin plays the role of a local DJ, somewhat similar to his role in the sitcom Martin, who was a radio show host that spins records. In the film House Party, Kid and Sydney, played by Tisha Campbell, develops an affection for one another. But here's where things become wicked, and what the viewer may have not noticed due to being heavily entertained. The elites are known for deception, magic, illusions, and doing things in reverse. Both characters, Kid and Play, real names being Christopher, instead of using Christopher Martin. Hence the last name Martin, who slightly resembles Martin Lawrence and has the high-top fade to play Sydney's love interest. They instead use the light-skinned Christopher Reed to throw the viewers off to hide their evil wickedness right in plain sight, and to also symbolize what was next to come in the TV show Martin. The real reason that Christopher Reed played the role of Tisha Campbell's love interest instead of Christopher Martin is because, in the satanic world of dark magic and sexual spells, they believe in jumping into other people's body.
Bewitching Beyonce. Did Queen Bee practice witchcraft on one of her musicians? In this Daily Mail TV exclusive, the drummer who claims she was put under Beyonce's spell is now speaking out.
The fact that people keep saying, I'm crazy? Hell, the situations I had to deal with and survive are crazy.
Kimberly Thompson says she is tormented from being put under manic sexual spells by Beyonce.
We're talking about other situations where changing into animals and jumping into other bodies and jumping into other bodies.
Tisha Campbell jumps inside of Kid's body from her role as Sydney in the film House Party. Hence Tisha being light-skinned dating the dark-skinned Martin. Fast forward to the sitcom Martin. In one episode, Martin on his radio show allows Kid to pick a female caller to win a free date with Kid for the night. Kid ends up selecting Shanae, a trans woman played by Martin. Kid ends up going to Shanae's house. After realizing that she was a transgender, Kid still decided to stay the night with Shanae despite her being a male. Now can you see how Hollywood and the occult reversed it? Instead of Kid wearing the wig and portraying the role of a trans woman, they reversed it and had Martin play the trans role, who's dating Kid instead, which also hints at Kid and Play secretly dating one another, which is Christopher Reed dating Christopher Martin. Tisha Campbell was formerly married to actor Dwayne Martin.
Tell us what it's like being in a marriage,
A Hollywood marriage.
for 21 years and being successful. We don't know.
Who is a former basketball player that signed a non-guaranteed contract with the New York Knicks. The higher-ups display masterful mockery here with an obvious riddle with the association of the name Martin. And now it all makes sense why Martin Lawrence professes his love for the sport of basketball, and why it also makes sense why Martin Lawrence was accused and sued for taking it too far with Tisha Campbell on the set of Martin. Martin was often deemed as crazy. It was even reported that Martin asked Tisha to leave Dwayne. As we closely examine this riddle, we notice how the higher-ups fooled the masses by switching the characters' stories around right in plain sight during the height of the TV show Martin's success. Martin was labeled as the one that was crazy, but now it's being revealed that Tisha Campbell was the crazy one the entire time. But all this was staged to be one big plot twist, as fans are now repeating the narrative that the higher-ups purposely put out, that Tisha Campbell was in fact the one that was crazy, because the illusion keeps the sheep from connecting the dots to see that it's all fake. Towards the completion of the TV sitcom Martin Lawrence and Tisha Campbell issues became so apparent that Tisha Campbell stopped appearing in most of the episodes, which was done intentionally to set the stage for the plot twist that subliminally revealed that Tisha Campbell was truly the crazy one all along. In one episode of Martin goes on a boat cruise with Tommy, Cole, and Pam. Martin comes across a female who becomes overly obsessed with him and starts harassing him. Just how it was rumored Martin was with Tisha Campbell in real life. But this would also so happen to be the exact same plot and storyline of the film that both Martin Lawrence and Lynn Whitfield starred in. A thin line between love and hate. Tisha Campbell married Duane Martin in 1996, which was a year before the TV show Martin would come to an end. Coincidentally, the show was rumored to be in talks of a reboot, right around the time of the divorce of Tisha Campbell and Duane Martin. Ironically, Martin Lawrence and Tisha Campbell would reconcile their differences. But before we move along, let's rewind back to the show Martin, to more character plot twist. In 1994, on the TV show Martin surprisingly finds out that he has a long-lost son named Marcus, played by the character named Miles in the popular TV show Moesha. Funny enough, in 1995, a year later Martin starred in the hit film Bad Boys, playing the role of a cop named Marcus, and 4 years later Martin would star in the film Blue Streak by a character named Miles. In 1993, in Martin's personal life, he was engaged to popular actress Saved by the Bell star Lisa, whose real name is Lark Voorhees. She also starred in Martin's show as Martin's love interest when he broke up with Gina. In 2001, Tisha Campbell would then go on to star in the TV show My Wife and Kids as the wife to one of Duane's brothers. Get it? Duane Brothers. Duane, like Duane Martin. Also, Duane Martin starred in the popular film Above the Rim, alongside another one of Duane's brothers, who was his best friend in the film. Duane Martin starred in the film as a character by the name of Kyle, and Kyle was the last name of the family on the TV show My Wife and Kids. 2 years later, Duane Martin would then go on to star in the TV sitcom All of Us, with female actress Lisa Ray. Also, pay attention to the complexion of Lisa Ray, who was light-skinned just like Tisha Campbell, who was once married to Duane Martin. The character Lark Voorhees, who played a character by the name of Lisa, was said to have been bleaching her skin to appear more lighter like Tisha Campbell to re-attract Martin. Years later, after the show All of Us went off-air, Lisa Ray accused Duane Martin for ruining her marriage, which was once reported that Martin Lawrence also attempted to do with Duane Martin and Tisha Campbell. Lisa Ray was also married to a former NFL player, Tony Martin. The continuation of love stories fantasies and fairy tale dreams serve as a great illusion and distraction that kept the audience from being able to solve riddles and see that their world is scripted. This is why actor Orlando Brown expressed his deep affections for his former castmate Raven-Symoné, which only shows that Orlando Brown was still in character from the TV show, as well as Kyle Massey, whose middle name so happened to be Orlando. It also reveals the dark intentions of the higher-ups to normalize this world into a sick, demonic society.
With the 83rd pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the newest member to the Baltimore Ravens family, and the Lord works in mysterious ways, Orlando Brown, tackle, Oklahoma.
Wow. How about that, folks?
The world stage has always entertained us with the most prestigious scripted historical moments of all time written by the higher-ups. A theme often used in movies is time traveling. Even in video games such as NBA 2K, the creators of the game allows the gamer access to be able to choose which part of history they would like to travel to in Michael Jordan's career to recreate all of his top scripted iconic moments that were manufactured by the higher-ups. Another feature I think will be added is gamers will be able to time travel to the future and play out moments before they happen. So for example, let's say it's the year 2024. LeBron James and his clone Bronny James are playing in the NBA Finals, and let's say Bronny James is scripted to hit a game winner with 1 second left on the clock shifting to his right. You can play out that moment before it actually takes place, which should be more indication that the world is staged. This was also what we seen take place in the animated film Our Friend Martin. Based on the story of Martin Luther King Jr., the controllers of the earth used different TV shows and movies as continuations to subliminally reveal how he's still alive. Animated film, Our Friend Martin, premiered in 1999, which aired 3 days before Dr. King's 70th birthday. The film runtime was 61 minutes. The film was about a boy named Miles, who visited a museum dedicated to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He and his white best friend explored Dr. King's bedroom, as they found an old watch that allows them to time travel. In other words, used magic. As they teleported to the past, they ended up in the beginning of Dr. King's life, and were able to relive the iconic moments like his civil rights protest, March on Washington, etc. Just like in NBA 2K. Fast forward towards the end of the movie, Miles travels back in time and attempt to alter Dr. King's script by teleporting him to present time so that he can prevent Dr. King's assassination. But when he returned back to school, racism had still existed. Whites and blacks were still segregated. Dr. King came to the realization that if he never died, and that if they tweaked his script, his civil rights work wouldn't have never happened. Dr. King returns back to his time, where he was shot and killed at the hotel. Life goes back to normal, and Miles then advances to the 7th grade.
Okay, this is the famous picture of Martin Luther King Jr. when he was shot at the Lorraine Motel. This picture was supposedly taken moments after he was shot. As you can see, Martin Luther King Jr. is right here in pain and agony after being shot. But I want to focus on the reaction of the people around him, because all of their reactions makes me think that his death was premeditated. Now, what are the chances that somebody gets shot right next to a group of people and none of the people run away? Like, nobody else was worried about being the next person to get gunned down. Their reaction wasn't to run for cover or duck or get behind something or whatever, like most people's reaction would be. Somehow all of them spotted something off in the distance where they thought they spotted the shooter, I guess. That's what they was trying to make it look like. And then they all happened to point at the same damn time. So what are the chances of them spotting the shooter at the same damn time and pointing at the same damn time? It seemed pretty rehearsed, right?
7 years later, in 2006, Dr. King would resurrect again by making his return on the animated TV series The Boondocks, which was episode number 9 in its first season. Dr. King wakes up out of a so-called 32-year coma. The elites threw the masses off. Dr. King's mother died in 1974, which would actually be 32 years from the year 2006. In an alternate version of history of Dr. King surviving his assassination attempt, in other words, this is what really happened all along, but it's said that her murder unfolded in the same fashion as Malcolm X. How ironic. My theory is, this was the controllers of the earth, once again mocking us and using deception to keep us blinded from realizing that this was all just a hoax. I believe that either this was the elites revealing that Dr. King was actually a trans woman, disguised as his mother, just like Satanists believe that their god Lucifer is really a woman, returns 6 years later in 1974, kills him again, and just like cartoons are not real, the animated series symbolizes that the entire Dr. King story and death was fake, or just simply, he isn't dead, and he will someday return soon in the flesh. Edward Snowden is a former computer intelligence consultant who supposedly leaked highly classified information from the National Security Agency in 2013 when he was an employee and subcontractor for the Central Intelligence Agency, better known as the CIA. Snowden is worldly regarded as some hero for revealing documents that American citizens were being spied on. But when you dissect this entire hoax, none of this truly makes sense, and all signs point to Snowden was nothing more than controlled opposition, sent out to reveal the information that the higher-ups wanted for us to know. So many questions should be raised about the Edward Snowden situation, such as if Snowden is considered such a terrorist, a threat and a traitor to national security and the CIA, then why is Snowden constantly given a platform to further his stance on the so-called betrayal of leaked information on the biggest American mainstream media news outlets? In recent months, Donald Trump was banned from all the big tech apps for spreading misinformation. Somehow or another, Edward Snowden, who violated the Espionage Act, still speaks out and is still given a platform to spread more information. The back and forth between Snowden, Putin, and Barack Obama was all a distraction to hide the fact that they are all a part of the same world domination organization, or should I say the New World Order. If Snowden was such a wanted man by the American government, there is almost no way he could have fled the country and escaped without being caught. Snowden was granted permanent residency in Russia, yet America still hasn't waged war against Russia and still have had multiple meetings with Russia and other world leaders. So now, let's connect the dots and solve this riddle. What does national security, global surveillance program, and wiretapping all have in common? Spying on American citizens. What television show was most known for spying on people and listening in on their conversations? The hit TV series, The Wire. The Wire was a crime drama that first aired in 2002, which was a year after 9/11 attacks in the George Bush regime, which is allegedly when the American government tapped in on American citizens' phones. Snowden revealed that Barack Obama policies were worse than George Bush regarding the NSA.
But I think it's important to recognize that you can't have 100% security and also then have 100% privacy and zero inconvenience. We're going to have to make some choices as a society.
Both Barack Obama and Edward Snowden in interviews have expressed on record what their favorite TV shows were, which is The Wire.
I'm a huge fan of The Wire. I think it's one of the greatest, not just television shows, but pieces of art in the last couple of decades. Omar's, by the way, my favorite character.
This is a big cultural change. You, in effect, moved to Russia from Hawaii. Food, language, TV shows. What is your life like? What do you watch?
You mentioned TV. Right now I'm watching a show, The Wire, about surveillance, which is, I'm really enjoying.
Barack Obama became the president 7 years after the 9/11 attacks by the militant Islamist terrorist group Al-Qaeda. People often mention how the name Obama and Osama sounded eerily similar, and how much Barack Obama and Osama bin Laden looked alike, and also how Obama was elected president despite having Muslim roots. These rumors and conspiracy theories were deliberately spread by the elites as another form of mockery, because they know the sheep are too dumb. Ironically, the TV series The Wire ended in 2008, right before Barack Obama's first term, a common phrase used throughout the show that was often heard in the background while the drug dealers were slanging on the corner. You hear one guy screaming, "Pandemic," and now the entire world is facing a pandemic. The Wire was praised as one of the greatest television dramas in TV history. Characters, such as Proposition Joe's death outside of the big screen. Condolences were sent and he was paid his respects as if he was still in character, which proves it's all staged.
Joe will be missed. Very much missed. We like Joe. A hard man not to like.
Michael K. Williams played a notorious homosexual stick-up man named Omar. In the TV series The Wire, Michael K. Williams' death occurred exactly 9 years after the real Omar's death in 2012, and 13 years later, since the actual death of Omar in The Wire. My theory is Michael K. Williams' death was a staged sacrifice to the birth of the homosexual lifestyle that Lil Nas X pushing and what the elites are normalizing. Cardi B released an album in 2018 titled Invasion of Privacy, which all ties into wiretapping, the pandemic that's keeping us inside, martial law, then under surveillance 24/7. The elites believe in showing their hand by revealing to us what's next to come, meanwhile also smiling at the same time while they are defeating you in the process. But ultimately, there is nothing that we can do about it. The higher-ups order their plants such as Woe Vicky to reveal inner workings and secret proceedings about how Hollywood parties operate, how they prick your fingers for blood upon arrival, etc. Because really, it's becoming the norm. Everything that was considered secretive in Hollywood is now in the open in our society, like sacrificing kids, pedophilia, same-sex having sex.
DP the producer.